Welcome, everybody, yet another episode of the Wrestling vs. the World podcast. If y'all enjoying your day, sweet. If not, then what the hell ever. If I sound a little dreary all throughout the episode, I just took a couple Tylenol before here, and my autism is through the roof. But today I thought I'd cover a weird subject matter that thankfully lasted a few months, but I thought it was weird enough to dedicate an entire episode of the podcast to, and that was the time Chavo Guerrero decided to identify as a white guy, aka Kerwin White. So we gotta take it back to the summer of 2005. He was one of the last big major groups of wrestlers that got drafted during the 2005 lottery. So he got drafted from SmackDown to Raw, and July 4, 2005 is when he debuted the new character. He's backstage. He's like got blonde hair and everything. I thought he looked like Gunther from Friends, just without the coffee. And he says that he feels like his ability, which is very high up, outshines his achievements. It's like, oh, I'm very gifted, but I'm not doing a whole lot right now. And saying that America's outlook on Hispanics have rubbed off on him, so that's why he doesn't really get opportunities and stuff. And he's decided to denounce his Hispanic heritage to identify as a white American, basically like he jumps between saying middle class and upper middle class. There's a difference depending on what your income level is. And he decided to have his name legally changed to Kerwin White. And he's dropping the accent. He can't say Guerrero properly. It's like, Like, I know not everybody has the rolling R's ability and everything, but it's like, come on, you can't just suddenly lose that. Now, a thing that I noticed here with some of these, like, he's sometimes bounces between Raw and Heat, and there's some weeks where he's just not there, and I've been trying to keep track of everything. But the next big notable day, a couple weeks later, July 18, 2005, he's backstage talking to Eric Bischoff. He's trying to show off a golf swing, and that's when, like, he's trying to basically get on the boss's good side, and Bischoff's like, hey, you should come golf in Arizona. Kerwin's like, I would, but I don't want to be there in Arizona because that's close to the border. Like, oh, they're really starting to cross here in this stuff. And then Chris Jericho comes in, he gives him a high five, and then that's when he debuts a phrase saying, don't forget, if it's not white, it's not right. Oh! You say that in friggin' modern, like in 2025, you're going to get a good group of people cheering you there. But that's not the only time we would also see Kerwin here, because backstage, like, the main event they were doing was John Cena Snitsky in a lumberjack match, so Chris Jericho handpicked all the lumberjacks, a bunch of heels, and you see them all in a room. There's like Kerwin White, there's Tyson Tomko, one of the Bashams, Rob Conway, etc. And like Kerwin White is one of the lumberjacks in the match, but he doesn't really do anything of note. Like, yeah, he punches Cena, big whoop, nothing to note there. A couple weeks later, we finally see him again. August 1st, 2005, Kerwin is backstage holding a tennis racket, and he comes across Vince in the back, and Vince has acts like he doesn't know that Chavo is now pretending to be white. But, like, he repeats the phrase, saying, don't forget, if it's not white, it's not right. And, oh, I've been thinking about moving to Greenwich, Connecticut. Do you know any realtors? Vince is just like, damn, pal, I'll let you know. He's like, hey, I also want to get into polo and lacrosse. Why don't you do the typical white person thing and take a hike? Now, his first match, because, like, his next appearance, he wasn't on the next couple Raws, but his first match, thankfully somebody was able to preserve this. The August 21st, 2005 episode of Heat, internationally, he had a match against Rosie, and he debuts this hotel lounge entrance music. Like, if any of you have ever seen one of the Blue Collar Comedy Tour specials, I can't remember which one, but it's like, how lucky can one guy be? Like, it sounds like that type of thing. And he's driving down with a golf cart, and he's going against Rosie, who I think was if memory serves me right, he was one half of the World Tag Team Champions. And he beats Rosie because he avoids a corner charge attack, and then he rolls him up and holds the ropes. I mean, like, the only thing I even remember outside of all this is, like, Kerwin decides to spend some time, like, constantly fixing his outfit. It's like, dude, you're gonna give some wrinkles, okay? Get over it. Now, the next night, August 22nd, 2005, episode of Raw. This is where things get really, really, really spicy. So he's cutting a promo backstage, riding it on the golf cart, and he claims to be the spokesman of middle-class America. So he's a spokesman there. Well, hi, Kerwin. I'm a professional white person. Nice to meet you. So he talked about Shelton's earlier match today with Kurt Angle, and the crowd response was essentially the equivalent of a golf clap, which is a sign that he takes as racism and prejudice, because, oh, you guys aren't giving him the response that he deserves and everything. Like, yeah, we got to play the racism card here. And he puts over Shelton as being one of the best athletes he's ever seen, but White says he's not, quote-unquote, one of us. Oh, it wouldn't surprise me if phrases like this inspired Shelton's character change the next year. And he says, don't forget, he's not white, and if it's not white, it's not right. I don't even know how to what to really dissect of this. I mean, thankfully he drives off in the golf cart afterwards. Probably shoved a putter up somebody's ass. Now, you get to this next match. August 28, 2005 episode of Heat. He goes 1-1 against Tajiri. And he beats him by stopping a sunset flip into the ring and holds the ropes. So we haven't even established a finisher for this character yet. But then things will the next week, because September 4, 2005 episode of Heat, he's cutting a match before the, like, a promo before the match. And this was there taped 2 weeks after this promo that he cut on Shelton backstage. But yet they have to act like it's recent or something. It's like, I know they taped this before, like, these Heat episodes before Raw back in the day, even when they got taken off the air. But he's like, oh, I have to apologize for my remarks on Shelton, which he doesn't really do. But it's just like, oh, like, don't get mad at me, like, he's Shelton, he's not one of us, etc., etc. So he's having the match against Tajiri, and he's basically working on the left leg, because at ringside, Tajiri missed, like, a kick with his left leg and smacked the ring post. And this is where he debuts his new finisher, which is a single-leg Boston Crab, which he called the Whiteout. I mean, when you really look at what Whiteout is, it's basically bird shit. But yeah, now he's got a new finisher, and it's not the only finisher he's going to use during this run. The next night, September 5th, 2005 episode of Raw, Shelton Benjamin is having a match against Rob Conway, who we've already gone over on the podcast. He's sitting there watching in the aisleway from his golf cart. And at the finish, Kerwin White trips up Shelton, who's running off the ropes with his club, and then Conway capitalizes with a roll-up to win. That's going to get heat there. Like, how dare you trip up Shelton Benjamin? Following week, September 12, 2005, Shelton is finally getting a match now against Kerwin White on Raw. And Kerwin gets himself intentionally disqualified in under 5 minutes by using a golf club as a weapon. He even bends it over Shelton's back. I couldn't tell you which club because I don't have this stuff memorized. All I know is a metal club, so it must have been an iron of some kind. I'm not a golf expert. Now we finally actually get the only pay-per-view match that Kerwin has. He faces Shelton now at Unforgiven. And Shelton wins because Kerwin jumps off the top trying to use the golf club as a weapon. So it's like, leaping shot, but Shelton grabs him, launches him back up in the air, and then T-bone suplex and beats Kerwin White. I mean, that's not exactly a promising thing for this character when his first big stage match on pay-per-view, the only pay-per-view he has, he gets his ass kicked. So now you gotta jump forward to the next week. September 25th, 2005 episode of Heat. He's got a vignette and a match. And there's some changes that we got here because, like I said, September 25th, he's at a golf course with his new caddy, Nick Nemeth. Better known as Nicky of the Spirit Squad. And then later Dolph Ziggler. But now, like, Nick Nemeth is his new caddy, which is his actual real name. And now he shows, like, oh, he's wearing a shirt on the back that says white. And it's a white shirt. Really? I couldn't tell what color that was. And now he upgrades his phrase to saying, if it's not Kerwin White, it's not right. I'm sure that's what you meant from the start. And then he has a match against Matt Striker, who was still a babyface at this time, because I think Striker was taking part of the Kurt Angle Invitational, where it's like, oh, if you survive this 3-minute match, or however long it was with Kurt Angle, you win his gold medals. But he has a match with Matt Striker, and he wins with the Whiteout, the single-leg Boston Crab. That was whatever. Now, the next night, he has another match against Shelton, a rematch here, September 26, 2005 Raw. And essentially, they just repeat the Rick Rude Ultimate Warrior WrestleMania 5 finish. Shelton tries to suplex Kerwin White into the ring off the apron, gets tripped up, and his leg is held down, even though you don't see it because of the camera angle. but they implied that Nick Nemeth held down Shelton's leg so he couldn't kick out. Not 100% effective, but it happens. But we've seen this finish repeated so many times. Now, we don't see Kerwin again on TV for another couple of weeks until the October 14, 2005 episode of Heat. He has another match against Shelton. And it was at this point, I think this is when Shelton cut a promo before the match. He's like, hey, nice to know that you have a caddy here. And like, he's there to play with your club and also wash your balls. Like, I have to ask this. Why is it that every time you see two men together, there's always some kind of gay joke that's getting brought up? Like, it's like it's always implied anytime two men are together. Like, that's not always happening, people. Come on. But the match happens, and Shelton, he gets a T-bone suplex. Nemeth runs in the ring, gets the attack, so it's a disqualification win for Shelton. And then Matt Striker, post-match, saves Shelton from the attack. So it's like, okay, Shelton has a white friend. Cool. Then you get to a few days later, on the October 17, 2005 episode of Raw, because, again, Heat, by this point, like, the dates were changing up. They're not appearing on Sundays possibly anymore because they're not on television here in America. But now, October 17, 2005 Raw, Battle Royal, to where the winner is the third voted option for who joins Kurt Angle and John Cena for the Triple Threat match at Taboo Tuesday. Because it was like Big Show, Shawn Michaels, and a mystery person. And that match was won by Kane. I mean, Kerwin lasted a good while in the match, but he got eliminated by Shelton. I mean, the camera angle almost missed it for the most part, but yeah, Kane wins Battle Royal and he becomes third man for possibly being voted for the WWE title match. Next match, October 21st, 2005 Heat. We get a tag match. Kerwin White and Nick Nemeth versus Matt Striker and Shelton Benjamin. So it's a tag team match, playa. Striker, he abandons Shelton. So heel turn, bro. And Kerwin White and Nick Nemeth win after doing a double team electric chair drop on Shelton. So it's like lift him up, like between both of them in an electric chair, boom, drop them, and they win. I'm surprised we haven't seen that move done more often as a double team tag team finishing move. The following week, and this is all we're going to keep seeing from this point on. It's just going to be Heat matches. October 28, 2005 Heat. He goes one-on-one with Sean Morley because I refuse to call him by his wrestling name. And he defeats him because Morley knocks Nick Nemeth off the ring apron. Because, like, he was going to go for his cum shot. And, like, but he stopped because Kerwin White keeps rolling out of the way. And then freaking Kerwin runs up, rolls up Morley, and uses the tights for leverage to beat him. I mean, I know Kerwin White's supposed to be the heel here, but I prefer him over Sean Morley. Now, we're getting 3 big Heat matches now. Well, big. Because some of them jump around a bit, because the next one was on November 1st, 2005 Heat, which was preceding Taboo Tuesday. Tag match here. Kerwin White and Matt Striker versus Shelton Benjamin and Sean Morley. Very brief match, and Striker gets the roll-up on Shelton and uses the ropes for leverage to win the match. So, once again, Kerwin White is winning here on Heat in these matches that people will remember. But then the dates jump around again because 3 days later we got another episode of Heat. November 4, 2005. He goes against this guy named Mike Wellington. Should have changed his first name to Beef. And he beats him with the Brainbuster. So once again, he's hopping around with finishers here. Just like, I mean, what was wrong with the whiteout? I mean, are you going to... Like, I can't say you weren't going to do it on white people. I mean, you did it on Striker. And then 1 week later, we see the final match for Kerwin White. Tag match with Nick Nemeth against the Heartthrobs, Antonio and Romeo. Which one is which? I couldn't tell you. But Kerwin gets the win here by getting the Brainbuster on one of them. I couldn't be bothered to tell which one is which. And I don't know if Heartthrobs were supposed to be baby faces at this point. I mean, they're just Chippendale type dancers being like, oh, we got boas and spiky hair. Woohoo! Watch us dance. I don't care. But Kerwin gets the win with the Brainbuster on one of them. And that was the last time we saw the Kerwin White character, because a couple days after this episode of Heat aired, unfortunately, Eddie would pass away, and then this would lead to WWE completely dropping the Kerwin White character. Chavo goes back to wrestling under his name as babyface. He's on Raw for the most part, like, going forward, and then out of nowhere in 2006, he jumps ship to SmackDown. Because, like, it was just random because they didn't have the draft for Raw and SmackDown and everything. They had a bit of a draft for who goes to ECW, but he just jumped ship out of nowhere. So, yeah, that was the whole thing of the entire 4-month existence of Kerwin White. Was it good? No! This was just absolutely questionable. Like, 100%. Like, you got a Hispanic man deciding, hey, I'm gonna be white. It's just like he's cutting some very implied racially motivated promos. Like, some of this stuff felt like some of the stuff that we kind of got from Muhammad Hassan, who was no longer on TV by this point, around this time that this character debuted. And some of what Shelton Benjamin would say the following year. Because it's like, he was implying that he was being racially discriminated against and everything. Stuff like that after he turned heel. But it's just like this didn't really do anything positive for Kerwin slash Chavo Guerrero. Because again, like, the promos were just weird. Like, the stuff he was implying. The catchphrase, it's like, what the hell? The matches nobody really remembered. His only pay-per-view match he lost. And it's just like, everything just felt pointless. It's like, yeah, you got Nick Nemeth's debut on television, but it was the first out of 2 terrible gimmicks here, because then, again, he would come back months later as a cheerleader. But, oh, man. I'm glad that they dropped this character. It's just a shame the circumstances that happened, but it's just like, I think Chavo did an interview later on with Chris Van Vliet, at least according to Wikipedia, saying that he had plans to wear a freaking KKK outfit for Maximum Heat. It's just like, thank goodness they did not do that. I know they did it with Jim Neidhart. That video's out there years, back in the 90s or whenever it was. But it's just like, thank goodness they did not go that route. But yeah, let me know in the comments section below, for anybody who remembers the Kerwin White character when they did this, what did you think about it? Because like I said, this was just so weird. Like, doing a character where he pretends to be another race, I don't remember if, I know they kind of, they also did something a bit similar, with Akeem the African Dream, being like, oh, he's one-man gang, but he has, black heritage, so now he's pretending to be, black, essentially. It's like, oh, what's up, brothers and sisters, and all that stuff. It's not the first time somebody pretends to be another race and everything, because of, identification and stuff like that, but it's just like, this did not work at all. I don't know if there was some other end goal, if he was going to get into a program with somebody else. The only feud he had was against Shelton Benjamin. And it's that was it. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed today's episode of the podcast, folks, please remember, leave a like, subscribe with the bell turn on here on YouTube, comment what you thought below, and I'll catch you all in the next episode. Thanks for listening, folks. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out, and good day, everybody.